For starting chicks out that are fresh out of the brooder, I like to use a narrow tray or pan, and I get some chick starter in there, and I sprinkle a little onto the paper towel so that the chicks can get started pecking, and then I put that in the corner there, and that way they can get in there and eat and scratch, and they can find the feed really easily. I like to use this style of waterer because it's got a small footprint. You fill a little jar, it's a pint jar. You can also use a quart. You put that in there for the chicks to get a drink of water, and I use warm tap water so they don't get a shock when they come out of the warm brooder and have to drink cold water. We've cut vent holes in the lid of this tote so that the chicks have plenty of air. And we used to use chicken wire on top of the totes, and one time we had a snake get in and he ate a couple of chicks and he couldn't get back out through the wire because he was too fat, so he curled up under the heater and we went to sleep, and that's where we found him. So we switched to hardware cloth, which is a little safer. Keeps out house cats and any other animals that might be around. We have one bigger hole to put the heat light on. This is a popular way to heat these totes, with a simple light bulb. And the hole is big enough that the light doesn't warm up the plastic and potentially melt it. And the smaller vent is to let the air out if it gets too warm in there. The chicks do need air and oxygen, and this way they don't get too much of a draft, but they do have ventilation. After years of using heat lamps and worrying about the fire hazard, we switched to these infratherm heater panels, which are nice and safe. They're radiant heat. No chance of melting anything or overheating the chicks. We have them hanging from chains through the hardware cloth. The keychains are there to keep the chains from falling through the hardware cloth. And as the chicks grow, if they get too tall and their head starts bumping into the heater, I use these clips to raise up the heater to keep the height above the chicks' heads. If you're going to be brooding ducks or geese, you can put down some pine pellets on one side like this, spread them around. Put a little platform, this is just a wooden platform, and I've put some duct tape around it to keep the edge of the hardware cloth from being pointy and hurting their little feet. And we put the water on top, so when the ducks and geese come and make a mess in the water, the pine pellets absorb the water. For older chicks, we like to use this style of feeder because it holds a little bit more at a time and they can't scratch it out all over the place. One of the problems with totes is that they accumulate a lot of moisture in the bottom, so you have to really be careful that if they start getting a lot of moisture in the bottom, you've got to change your paper. You've got to change your bedding if you're using pellets or anything like that, because they can get moldy, and then you're going to have a problem with your chicks getting brooder pneumonia or other fungal situations.